Hey everyone! Welcome to Be the Change. My name is Lily Mott, and today I'm going to be talking about how change comes when you take the time to learn. I am really excited to introduce my guest this week. Her name is Ava Hedeker, and she is using social media and an online magazine to raise awareness about climate change. I really enjoy Ava's content that she posts on Instagram, and if you want to check it out while you're listening, she is at EnviroCoach on Instagram. I'm excited to share this conversation with you. So, without further ado, let's get started with this episode featuring Ava Hedeker.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ava, and I'm currently a first year at the University of Chicago, where I plan to double major in environmental and urban studies and sociology. And currently, what I'm working on is I run two environmental Instagram accounts. So I run one called EnviroCoach, where I try to break down complex environmental topics and try to help people think differently about environmentalism. And I also run an environmental magazine called Further for about a year and a half now. And what we do is try to showcase how becoming an environmentalist is not a one size fits all approach, and that you know we write articles about like how psychology, architecture, economics, and more connect to the environment. So we're just trying to showcase how you don't have to change who you are to be part of this movement, but just find out how you and your interests can help contribute to mitigating this crisis for everyone. So yeah.
That's a great introduction, Ava, and I would really love to get a little bit deeper into your background and just have you tell me some about the experiences that you've had that really kind of kick-started your passion for environmental activism. Can you tell me some about that path and how that looked for you?
Yeah, definitely. So it really started when I started to read books in my free time outside of high school. So one of the books that comes to mind is The Uninhabitable Earth, and it really just showed just how urgent this crisis is. Not only that, but also kind of showcased the social science aspects of mitigating climate change. And I never really was aware of this at the time because as someone who has never really been interested in STEM as my academic passion, didn't really know where I would fit in helping to fight climate change. So this really opened my eyes, and eventually I took an environmental studies college class. And what was really cool about this was that even in one of the research papers we read, it specifically said how in order to create effective climate action, we need the collaboration of a multitude of different careers, whether it be architects, policymakers, psychologists, and more. And I never really realized that, but I felt like it made so much sense in so many different ways because adapting to climate change is like in all aspects of society. It's not just one field that can deal with it. So I thought this simple yet powerful idea was really interesting, and I kind of wanted to just showcase it more to other people. So that led me to start my magazine Further, and from day one, I thought it would be good to keep it interdisciplinary to kind of promote this idea. And yeah, from there, it led me to dive deeper in a lot of ideas that I'm passionate about, whether it be green roofs or how a startup's trying to make a society without any cars, and so many more ideas, and just helping all of the writers learn how their passions connect to the environment has been so cool. And I've learned so much from all the different writers as well. So yeah.
That's so cool. And I love that you shared the social science aspect to climate change mitigation and environmentalism because there's definitely space for everyone in this line of work. And it really is going to take everyone working together to solve this issue. So thank you for sharing that. And I'd love for you to tell me a little bit more about your magazine and the process to create it and just what it looks like. Just tell me more about that process because you shared about the writers and how important this project has been to you. So I'd love to just know more about it.
Yeah, so I started it around June 2020, and originally I just created the website, and I never created a website before, so it kind of took me a while to figure out how to do it. And then eventually I got it running like within a month later, and I recruited like about 15 writers at the time. So we just from there we just kind of like ran this model and that I kind of improved over time, where we have like a period where we come up with ideas and have a first draft and then final draft, and then we like release monthly issues. And throughout it I've tried to also like incorporate interviews. So I interviewed a couple environmental professors, I interviewed some people who run environmental nonprofits, and so many more, just to kind of provide practicality to what we're talking about how anyone, regardless of their interests, can help the environment. And so I think now we have about 13 issues on the website. I also, this summer, I wanted to make it a goal to kind of rebrand further, just because I felt like the first website could have looked better, and I tried my best to like make it even better. And so that was really fun and cool to try to do. And I also tried to create like brand colors as well, because I just wanted the Instagram too to kind of feel more cohesive, because I felt like originally it felt a little like all over the place. So I just kind of thought that would be helpful. And in 2022, what's really cool is that I actually had a meeting with the writers this week, and we were talking about a new way to present articles. And we thought like maybe through like kind of infographic posters in a way, just because I actually came up with this idea through one of the classes I took in college this quarter, where we had to do like reading synthesis, where we read these like complex papers, and we had to kind of consolidate the information in like just a one page like poster that you could make through Canva or something. And I thought that was such a great idea, given kind of the state of the world. A lot of people are probably like experience a lot of like information fatigue, with so many people trying to like throw like news articles at you. So I thought it would just be a great way to kind of consolidate complex topics. And yeah, we'll see how it goes.
That's really interesting. And I'm so glad that you brought up the importance of being interdisciplinary and also intersectional. And I know a lot of activists who are including sustainability and climate change activism, as well as other issue areas in their work that they're doing, because it's often connected to, and climate change can often exacerbate those other issues. So thank you for sharing that. I'd love for you to tell me some as well about maybe the most important or maybe the most memorable or just some of your favorite posts or articles that you've shared on your social media and in the magazine. Can you just tell me some of those highlights that have really stuck out to you?
Yeah, definitely. So I really liked one of the first articles I wrote, which I think I just called it "The Role of Art in Climate Change." And I just kind of talked about this um art exhibit I saw in 2019 in London, and how this artist named Olafer Eliason, he creates like art that kind of compels people to take action on climate change. And it's just really interesting. Like for example, he brought ice ice from Iceland or some or Greenland or one of those places, and he placed it in front of the Tate Museum in London, which is a pretty popular spot, and just like place them there, and they're just melting, and it's just kind of like a physical reminder of what's going on, which I think is really interesting and also just important, because I think, living in cities, it's easy to forget that this is a reality. And I think just having such a strong reminder like that can really make an impact. And I just talked also just about how in the exhibit that I went to, there was this tunnel of just orange fog, and it was just really interesting to have walked in through it, because it was very bright and just orange, and it was just like wow, like it just kind of makes you wonder, like, is this the future we're gonna be like going towards if we don't change how society is. So I would say that that is definitely one of my favorite articles because I think most people, including myself, didn't really realize the connections between the environment and art. And another article that I enjoyed was I interviewed someone who runs a nonprofit, actually, yeah, also in the UK, where they kind of teach like young students that are, about like 7 years old about how to make architecture more sustainable. And they actually have actual architects come to these, and kids, I think they designed like potential like sustainable building ideas, and then architects actually look at those and use their basic ideas and actually create like advanced models that can actually place these ideas into action. And I just thought that was such a cool idea. And some other ones that I didn't write, but I also really enjoyed was we actually did have an article about eco anxiety. That was one of the first ones, and I just thought that was really great because that was before I actually knew the term about it, and I was like, oh wow, like that's pretty crazy that like this is an actual thing, and that it's so great that we're recognizing this. And let me think, what else? I would say what's all, oh, we have one about craters that have been created because of global warming, and just so many other ones. Like I think we all have over 100 on our website. So it's just been really cool to not only write articles but also edit and read the other writers too, because they brought up so many interesting concepts that I would never have thought of. So yeah, it's been really cool.
That's so interesting. And I love that all of the writers really have their own interests. So it creates this mix of different topics that can appeal to anyone. I think that's great. And I have one last question for you. Lots of young people, particularly college students, high school students, want to create change. They want to make a difference, but they may not know how or maybe where to get started. Do you have any advice or words of wisdom for those people who may be listening?
Yeah, I think, at least for me, I spend a decent amount of time just learning about all this first before taking like necessary action, such as starting my magazine. And I think a lot of people probably like underestimate the power of just having time to just take time to learn about all of this before finding your place and to take action. So I would strongly recommend just finding interesting environmental books to read at first and just learn a lot about this. And then from that, just think about what aspects of climate change interest you, and that could be the direction that you want to take your activism towards. And yeah, and I also on my Instagram at EnviroCoach, I also post a lot of environmental book recommendations if you don't know where to exactly start. So that can be a good resource to help. But yeah, I think just self-education has a lot of great power as the first step, and it can inspire you in ways that you probably would never have imagined had you not read environmental books. So yeah.
I really enjoyed this conversation with Ava, and I think her approach to bringing in social science and the humanities to climate change work is so valuable because it's going to take a team effort to solve this problem. I love how much she values and emphasizes the importance of education and doing your background research before getting started with any project. If you're interested in getting involved with any form of activism, the first step is learning about that issue and building that foundation, because change comes when you take the time to learn. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and you can connect with Ava on Instagram at EnviroCoach to get connected with her and find all of her content. If you want to talk about anything I mentioned, please reach out to me by email at lily@bethechangepodcast.org or on Instagram at bethechangepodcast. Tune in for my next episode, but until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Bye, guys.